Okay, we need to solve this equation for the x variable. It's just a little bit of a chore. Okay, this time there's three ratios because you're going to make a ratio. If there's two that are added together, what you're going to need to do is come up with a common denominator. You will not use the A, B, C, D. That's impossible. Look at it. So what you will be doing then is extending each of your ratio lines. So make this a longer ratio plus a longer ratio equals a third ratio. Now the tops, you need to put parentheses if there's a, so does 2 have a plus or minus? Is there any plus minus on top of that line? No. So you don't put a parentheses, you just bring the 2. 3 is all you have there, that's one term. And then 4 is just one term. If there's a plus minus going on top of anything, you need to put a parentheses, but you do not have to factor the top. Now, bottom, I see a minus operator, I put a parentheses. I see a plus operator, I put a parentheses. Now, we have to see if those can factor. You need to factor the bottoms. Okay, so that'd be GCF DOPS. I think some of you know that this is prime already. If you do, that's fine. So I'm not seeing an X, I'm not seeing a negative. 1 and 1's 1, so that means we don't do it. Now we do have a minus, and 1 might be 1 times 1, but the X does not have a power, so that's no. So I didn't do anything. So if I don't do anything, I just bring it down the way it is. And then x plus 1, the same thing's going to happen. I mean, it's a binomial, but it can't be factored. You have x, no. Negative, no. 1 and 1's 1. You have a plus, so that's no. Okay. Okay, so you're not doing anything with that. Now, you don't even have anything in the third. Now you're ready to do your common denominator. So denominator here is a parentheses with x minus 1. Denominator here, we have a factor of x plus 1. And we don't have anything here, and that's perfectly okay. So how many x minus 1's does the first ratio have on the bottom? 1. How many x minus 1's does this have? 0. How many does this have? 0. So everything needs 1. Well, that already has the 1. So then you times x minus 1, and you also times the top. Now I'm going to repeat this next thing 3 times. If you are bringing up parentheses, you bring it in behind what's there, okay? If you are bringing a parentheses, you bring it in behind. You can't miss that point. Then we also need to put an x minus 1 here. They all need to be that way. Okay, that's set. Now we got x plus 1. I have 0 x plus 1 parentheses there. I have 1 here. I have 0 down here. So everything needs 1. Well, the middle's already got 1, so leave that alone. And you times by x plus 1. Remember, you're timesing it from behind what's there. And over here, x plus 1, x plus 1. Now the good news is with an equals, once the denominators are all the same, you can forget them. Okay, you don't need them. Now you're just working on the top, but we need to simplify. Here's the best way to simplify that mess on top. Put a parentheses, that represents what's on top of the first fraction, plus another parentheses, that's going to be on top of the second. Equals a third parentheses, that's going to be what we get on the third. Now you multiply. So 2 times x, 2 times 1. That's easy. It's just 2x plus 2. Here, 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 1 is 2 if you need to see it. Now we move over here. 3 times x, 3 times negative 1. So 3x and negative 3. Now, you're wondering how the heck do I multiply that? Well, you start with taking 4 times x, 4 times negative 1. So it's 4x, negative 4. So you're going to cross this out. You're going to make a parentheses with 4x minus 4. Now you times this parentheses by that. So that's the 2 by 2 FOIL. So 4x times 1x, 4x times 1, Negative 4 times 1x, negative 4 times 1. So that's x second with 4. That's a 4x. That's a negative 4x. Those two can be combined, but they combine to 0, so you cancel them. And this is negative 4. So you put 4x second minus 4. Now you line up this equals right there. This you just put 4x second minus 4. Here you got to combine like terms. You have x constant. So I'm going to go x constant. So x, 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. Now, you can see in your equation you have x to the second, so you need to add a second answer to your solution set. And you have x second, you've also got x to the first, so you need to apply your factoring properties. Factoring prop. Okay, so you need to clear one side. Clear the side that doesn't have the x squared. Leave that alone. This is a side you clear. So you minus 5x. There's no x over there, just put it behind. Plus 1 to the negative 4. So now put your equals 0 there, because that's where you're used to having it. Now you put the x second first, 4x second, then the negative 5x, then negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Okay. Now you see 3 terms, do your GCFT. No x, no negative, 4, 5, and 3 is 1. Now ABC. Positive 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, so the signs have to mismatch. They got to be the opposite, positive, negative. The factors will need to add to the b, which is negative 5. 1 and 12, that's negative 11. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Well, that's negative 4. As soon as you get under the negative 5, or see, I'm extreme. 1 plus negative 12 is negative 11, but now 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4, so you skipped over what's negative 5, so you need to go QF with that. So quadratic formula, opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So opposite of b is 5, positive 5. b itself is negative 5. Then 4a is 4. c is negative 3. And then a is 4. So line that up. So you got a 5, 2 times 4 is 8. Now make your square root. On when doing this, I prefer you not punch in the square root. Just go parentheses negative 5 to the second minus 4, 4, negative 3. Put 73 in that, and it's not negative, so you don't need I. Just approximate the square root. I don't need you to simplify it using the double square roots, just 8.54. And if you want to simplify it, you can, but I'm just going to be writing decimals. So I take 5 plus 8.54 equals, then divide by 8, and I get 1.69. 5 minus 8.54, click equals, divide by 8, negative 0.44. So those are your approximate solutions. Okay, next problem. Okay, you got to solve. Okay, that's 3 ratios. You can't do ABC with 3 ratios, and you have a plus sign, so you need to extend the lines. Solving for x, you might add a second answer depending on how everything comes out. Okay, so on top you don't factor, but you do need to put parentheses. You wouldn't put it on 15, there's no plus or minus. You'd put it here because there's a minus on top. There's no plus or minus on top there. Now you just drop them. Now on the bottoms, you wouldn't put a parentheses there. You would here because there's a plus sign. Okay? If there's a plus or minus on top, that goes in parentheses. Now, this would just drop. This you see if you can factor. You have to try to factor the bottoms. You don't have to try to factor the tops, but the bottoms you need to. So that's 2 terms. That's GCF and then DOPS. GCF's 1, it can't be adopted, so that's nope, nothing happens. Okay, so drop it down in parentheses. Now your denominators, down here you have an x, it is not in parentheses, so you write outer x. That means that's an x not in parentheses. Now you have a parentheses of x plus 2, and here you got nothing. So outer x, you got 1 here, you have none here, that x is inner, okay, so 0, and then none here. So I guess you need to bring outer x into the second and third, okay. Now, that's not going to be a parentheses, so now you times it in the front, okay, just like that. Same thing here, times it from the front. Just put it in there, times it from the front. Now everything has an outer x. Remember, if you bring it on bottom, you got to bring it on top. X plus 2, parentheses, I have 0, 1, 0. So 1 is what, so the first and third need that x plus 2. Parentheses goes behind. Non-parentheses stuff goes in front. That's already has it, okay? Don't put another one if there's already one there. Remember, you're gunning for 1. X plus 2, x plus 2. Now, are the bottoms all the same? Yes, cross them out. Now you go to your parentheses. Okay, so 15 times x, 15 times 2. It's going to be 15x and then 30. 1x times 9x, 1x times negative 7. So 9x second, negative 7x. That's what you're going to put there. Nothing gets combined. Now, first you do this times x times 9. That's 9x. You put the 9 in front of the x, not x9, 9x. Then you take the 9x to the 1x, 9x to 2. 1 term times 2 terms, so 9x second and 18x. Okay, now line up that equals. Nothing doing over, you just put what's in that last parentheses. Now here, that's on one side, so you need to combine like terms. You have x constant, x second, x. Okay, so x second, you got 9. X, 15 plus negative 7 is 8, then you got 30. Now at this point, x seconds there, and you got x second and x. So you're going to apply your factoring properties again, but something weird's going to happen. Clear one side. Well, you got x squared on both sides. Clear the smaller one. If there's not a smaller one, you get if they're equal, you get rid of them. Now the x squared isn't there, so you take away an answer, and now you just have x. Now instead of factoring properties, you apply linear properties, okay? So in linear properties, you don't clear one whole side. You take out an x. It's minus 8x, minus 8x, so that'd be 10x. Then you divide by 10, and that's 3. 3 equals x. Okay. Remember, if they're of equal value, the x squareds, they cancel and you don't have x squared, okay? Next one. Get all those bottoms the same. What parentheses you need on top? None. There's no plus minus there, or there. You just drop everything down. And if you do put a parentheses on top, you put it, but you don't factor it. Now bottom, that needs a parentheses. That does not, because there's no plus or minus, and that's already good, okay? So if they already have a parentheses, we're just going to drop that one. It's already factored. Now x plus 2, you really think that can factor? You need to factor the bottom parentheses, okay? I mean, that one there, if it's already there originally, you don't have to. So GCF is 1. It adopts, not even close, it's a plus sign. So no. So you leave it, drop it down. There's no parentheses there, it just drops, and that one was already factored for me, okay? So now you're ready for your CD. So you have a parentheses of x plus 2. Then you have outer x. Now you have outer x again, but we've already put outer x. Don't put it again. And then you have x plus 1. You haven't put that yet. So those are the three things we look at, okay? So x plus 2, that has 1, that has 0, that has 0. So I guess these two need to have 1. So times x plus 2, if it's a parentheses, you times from behind. Okay, outer x. You don't have an outer x, that doesn't count, that's an inner x. So 0, 1, 1. So I just need this one to have 1. Now, if it's not a parentheses factor, you're going to bring in you times from the front. Okay? X plus 1, 0, 0, 1. So everything needs 1. Okay? So these two need an x plus 1 factor. Okay, now the bottoms are all done. Okay, now you got two multiplications. First, x times 2 is just 2x, okay? Now you distribute 2x to 1x, 2x to 1. So it's going to be 2x second and 2x. So we fill that in with 2x to the second plus 2x. Now, first you times this, that's just distributive, okay? Negative 1 times x. Negative 1 times 2. So it's negative 1x, negative 2. So you cross that out and you put that in parentheses. I know I didn't give a lot of room. Negative 1x minus 2. Now you're taking these two terms times these two. That's a FOIL. Negative 1x times 1x. Negative 1x times 1. Negative 2 times 1x. And negative 2 times 1. So negative 1x second, negative 1x, negative 2x, and negative 2. We would combine these, that would make negative 3x, and that's the end of the multiplication. So you'd have negative 1x second, negative 3x, negative 2. Now over here, that's just taking the negative 4 into the parentheses. It's negative 4x, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So it's negative 4x minus 8. Now I don't care if you're writing all that stuff. Here you probably want to, you take the negative 1 times this, then wrap it up and take these two terms times these two terms using the FOIL method. You've used that about 150 times this year. Okay, now put your equals here. You just put the negative 4x minus 8. Then you got x squared x squared x constant. So x squared 2 and negative 1 is 1. X 2 and negative 3 is negative 1. Then negative 2. Okay, there's two answers. So you have x second and you have x. You need to use your factoring properties, factor properties. Okay, that's when you clear one side. Well, you got x squared here, so you clear the other side. You're going to add 4x to the negative 1x and add 8 to the negative 2. So you got 1x to the second plus 3x plus 6 equals 0. Okay, there's your three terms. So GCF table. Okay, no x, no negative, 1, 3, and 6 is 1. 1 times 6 is 6, positive. So we got to have the signs match. Since it has to add to a positive, they probably need to match as positives, just saying. 6 divided by 1 is 6, that's 7, not 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3, that's 5. Well, then I'm just a 3, and I already have 3 on the other side, so that's a QF. Quadratic formula. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared, minus 4AC over 2A. So opposite of B is negative 3. B is 3 to the second, and then A is 1, C is 6. A is 1. So you got negative 3. 2 times 1 is 2. Now you make your square root. Parentheses 3 to the second, minus 4, 1, 6. You got negative 15. I do not square root negatives. You bring the I out and you just put I square root 15. So negative 3 plus I square root 15 over 2, and then negative 3 minus. That's what you do with an I. You leave the radical, put the I out. That's good. Put the I out. Okay, next problem. 5 over, you see what we have going on there. I don't need to read it. Everybody can read it right there. Freeze frame. Tops, okay. You see a plus or minus on top there? No, no parentheses. Or there, or there. Those are just dropping, no parentheses. Need a parentheses here, because I have minus and plus, got minus here, minus here. If you have plus or minus, those goes in parentheses. Now, you better factor this. And no, you don't use the quadratic formula when you're trying to find your bottoms. Okay, that doesn't even make sense. You need to gut it out and do the t-table. Okay, there's no x, there's no negative. 1, 7, and 12 is 1. A, B, C. So 1 times 12 is 12, positive. Okay? So that's got to be a match. And that match has to add to negative 7. So that's why they're both negative. 12 divided by 1 is 12. No. 12 divided by 2 is 6. That's negative 8. 12 divided by 3 is 4. There's your negative 7. Now your A is 1x to the second, okay? So I'm not really going to be able to simplify. I mean, I'll put x, 1, 1, but those can't be simplified. I mean, come on. 1 and 3, 1 and 4. Take the 1s off the front if they're 1s. So you replace this with x minus 3, x minus 4. And you didn't do a GCF, so no GCF in front of those. Okay, x minus 3, it's 2 terms. Does it look like you're going to do a GCF? Probably not, since it's 1. There's no x on the end, there's no negative in the front. Okay, 1 and 3 is 1. Dops, no. You have minus 1 times 1. X is not to the a power, so no. So you didn't do anything, okay? Now how about the x minus 4? I mean, it's in parentheses. It's a polynomial, technically. So GCF and dots. There's no x, there's no negative. 1 and 4 is 1. Now you do have the minus, and you got 1 times 1. X is not to the second power, so forget it. Drop it. Okay, now you come up with your common denominator. So you got a parentheses of x minus 3. Then on that same fraction, you've got a parentheses of x minus 4. Another parentheses of x minus 3. I already wrote that down. Don't write it again. X minus 4, I already wrote that down. Don't write it again. Okay? So x minus 3, x minus 4, x minus 3, x minus 4. So it's just those. X minus 3, you got one of those here, one of those here, 0 of those here. Well, everything needs 1. That has it, that has it. This is where you need to put x minus 3. X minus 4, I got one of those here, 0 of them here, 1 of them here. So where there's, I need them all to have 1, so this one with 0 needs to get with the program. Okay, bottom's all matched now. Get them out. So you line up your equals, you put a parentheses for the top of each fraction that you see. Here's just a 5. You take 2 times x, 2 times negative 4. It's going to be 2x minus 8. 5 times x, 5 times negative 3. It's going to be 5x and negative 15. Okay, so this you just write over 5x minus 15. You got constant, x, constant. So it's going to be x and a constant. So x is 2, 5 plus negative 8 is negative 3. Now, does it look like you have x to the second? Doesn't to me, so we're sticking with one answer, and we're not using factoring properties. You're using the linear properties. You don't clear one whole side. You take out an x. If they have x's on opposite sides, take one of them out. So it gives us negative 3 and then 3x minus 15. Now, you got times 3 minus 15. So we add 15. Negative 3 plus 15 is 12 equals 3 times x. Now divide by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4.